everybody. Mark Schaftlein with you, and this is the Schaftlein Report. It's Wednesday's edition, January 4th. Happy to have you with us today. We're broadcasting from Delray Beach, Florida. I'm on the road traveling, so you're going to get audio only today, but happy to have you with us. Folks, it's sort of to state the obvious, Republicans continue to embarrass themselves. And it's not the 90% that are voting for Kevin McCarthy. No, in this case, some people have been calling them the rebels. You can call them whatever you want to call them. But earlier today, Kevin McCarthy failed on the fourth vote, despite getting 90% of the vote. He is currently failing on the fifth vote, where he's also likely to end up with 90% of the vote. Donald Trump, former president, called on all Republicans to vote for McCarthy. Chip Roy, who I had a fond opinion of prior to this disaster, has nominated Byron Donald, a Republican from the Cape Coral, Fort Myers area, just across Alligator Alley here in Florida. Byron Donald's a really good guy, but there have been no talk about him being speaker prior to this fiasco taking place. We have two sides effectively dug in. Despite what you're hearing in the media accounts, there appears to be very little progress being made. It does seem to be more about personality than policy. And frankly, the country's got to be looking at this, saying, what the heck have we done here? Virtually, I don't want to say virtually all, but a big chunk of the demands that McCarthy had agreed to have been met, and the demands just keep coming on and on and on. You know, we have a situation where it's effectively a hostage situation being taken place in the House, where 10% are controlling 90%. That's what's happening. Let's be honest about it. And they are having some effect, unfortunately. To say that they're all wrong in everything that they're doing, I think that's a little step too far. But boy, I got to tell you, the recalcitrants, the rebels, whatever you want to call them, they are certainly not listening to Ronald Reagan's rule about thou shalt not speak ill of a fellow Republican. And Reagan also had a saying where, you know, if you get 80% of what you want from someone and 20% you don't agree with, you know, stick with them, because, you know, 80% is a pretty good number. That was Reagan's governing philosophy. He knew you couldn't get everything he wanted. But if he ended up getting 80% of it, he thought it was a successful day. And, you know, obviously Ronald Reagan, right up there with Abe Lincoln, among the most successful recognized Republicans ever, the beloved Ronald Reagan. So where this goes from here, I'm not sure, but I can tell you this, as a Republican, this is a complete embarrassment. I understand that people on the right, some of their demands about wanting change in DC, I get that. But the way they're going about doing it at this point, they may end up getting what's called a Pyrrhic victory, where they win the battle and they lose the war. Because, you know, the leadership team, McCarthy, Scalise, they vote together on virtually everything. There's no separation politically between the two. But my concern is that this has delved into a personality conflict. And nobody wins when you have that situation. Sure, they can keep voting another 5, 10, 15 rounds and lead to further embarrassment. The hardliners, those 20 that are voting against McCarthy, show no signs of giving in whatsoever. And the sad thing is, you know, McCarthy helped a good bunch of them get elected, which sort of raises the loyalty question to me. You know, what the hell are they doing here? And it further enhances the perception that was widespread in the last election that Republicans aren't capable of governing. Yeah, they're capable of arguing and being the opposition party, but it's a whole different deal when you have to govern. And my concern right now is that this 10% cabal, is calling the shots, like it or not. And I'm highly disappointed by what I'm seeing. I think it's set us back a lot. Can you recover from it? Sure, you can recover from it. But boy, I got to tell you something. Some Republicans not taking yes for an answer. My goodness. Never in my wildest dreams. But it is. We are where we are. And this fiasco is going to continue until one side blinks. And we could be sitting here talking about this again on tomorrow's show when Jeffrey joins us. So there's no way to sugarcoat this, folks. We're not going to try to do it. This is an outright embarrassment. And frankly, Republicans are sort of fitting the narrative that they, at least in the House side, they don't know how to govern. And unfortunately, as Sergeant Joe Friday used to say, those are the facts, man. And I'm not seeing anything that's going to change that. If the Republicans abandon Kevin McCarthy, then we're going to have hell to pay. This will turn into an absolute debacle. And I think the Republicans have to stand firm. Again, if you're on the 90% side, you generally have a winning side. So I'm taken aghast by this, taken back by it. It's unseemly. And I use the word embarrassment. There's no other way to say it. This is an absolute debacle. And the further it goes, the more embarrassing it gets. Now, people say, well, Mark, you could be wrong. McCarthy's too liberal. No, he's not. The guy's a staunch conservative. You can't blame him for what happened when the Democrats control things. Over the last 2 election cycles, we picked up 24 seats to have the majority. And here's the really crazy thing about it. The majority that McCarthy has now is slightly bigger than the slim majority Pelosi had. But Democrats weren't stupid enough to embarrass their speaker. So I don't know, folks. This, speaking to you as a Republican, this is really, really bad stuff. I'm not happy about it. And I'll continue to monitor the vote. We'll report back on it tomorrow as to any changes made. But right now, we're staring at a stalemate here, and nothing is changing. All right, let me get on to a little bit of other news. It was interesting. While this fiasco is going on in the House, President Biden, Senator Mitch McConnell, the governor of Kentucky, who's a Democrat, the governor of Ohio, Mike DeWine's a Republican, Steve Beshear's a Democrat, are meeting in northern Kentucky today for a dedication, a photo opportunity, celebrating a bridge construction project between the state of Kentucky and the state of Ohio as a result of the infrastructure deal that was passed last year. So think about the optics of this, folks. You've got President Biden, who is sitting at a 42% approval rating. You have Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, the longest serving Senate leader in history, shaking hands. You have a Democratic governor of Kentucky, a Republican governor of Ohio, showing what can happen when there's bipartisanship working. I don't want to leave out former Senator Rob Portman of Ohio. He was instrumental in it too. Senator Sherrod Brown, also there from Ohio, Democrat. So you got people from both parties, and they're celebrating an infrastructure bill passed on a bipartisan basis, which benefits both the state of Kentucky, the state of Ohio, and the United States in improving our transportation system. Now, we can make the argument, yeah, we shouldn't be spending that money. We're $31 trillion in debt. Yeah, we can, but once the bill is passed and signed into law, okay, we got to move on. So while that is happening, and the Democratic Party can talk about bipartisanship, then you flip the screen and you see our side looking like complete jerks. The optics of this are just terrific. There's no other way to say it. So here again, it's sort of like the president wins because our side can't seem to get our arms around what we're doing. Now, shifting away from politics for just a minute, the college murder suspect is on the way back to Idaho. That's good news. And the fact they caught this guy, boy, what a relief to the citizens of Moscow, Idaho, and the University of Idaho. Sam Bankman-Fried, another notorious character, pleaded not guilty. So Bankman-Fried is now, he's out on bail at his parents' house. Okay. So, we have one person accused of 4 murders, and we have Bankman-Fried accused of, he's being called the mini Madoff because of the fraud and money he stole. Tough situation there, folks. Across the Atlantic over in Ukraine's spy chief has warned that strikes may go deeper into Russia. And, every day, folks, we're counting large numbers of casualties in this ongoing war. And it's taking a horrific toll on both sides. So those are some of the outside stories taking place. The update on the Buffalo Bills cornerback who suffered cardiac arrest, in the game on January 6th. Doctors reported some very minor improvements today. They've got him turned around, I guess, on his stomach now. So we wish the best for defensive back Hamlin, and hope that he can recover from, what apparently they had to administer CPR twice to him when he was on the field. So our thoughts and best wishes go out to him and his family for a full recovery. So, folks, we'll keep an eye on what is happening here. The voting will continue. As we're doing our show, the 5th vote, he's about to go down for the 5th time. And, you have to sit here and think about yourself, okay, what is the strategy of Leader McCarthy and the 90% of Republicans? What do they do next? Do they try to cut a deal with Democrats? I don't know. Because the far right wing of the party is not showing any give whatsoever. And if they try to cut a deal with Democrats, they'd probably lose a lot of voters who are voting for McCarthy. So we're really stuck in a difficult situation here. I still remain hopeful McCarthy will become Speaker and this will get resolved. I think he's the best person qualified to be Speaker for the Republican side. He did a lot of work for the party, helping us get the majority. And what I'm seeing being done right now is not for ideological purposes. This looks to me like it's purely personal, and I am not happy about it. Having said that, folks, we will be back tomorrow reporting again an update about where we are with this. Hate to be a little bit brief today, but being on the road and not having anything change, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and getting no different result. So we'll stick with it. We're not going to sugarcoat it. We'll tell you exactly what we feel. A little bbit of good news. Wall Street seems to be a little bit on the rebound. Stocks are in the green today. Hopefully that continues. So with that said, in a brief audio podcast today, we'll keep an eye on the vote. We'll keep an eye on the politics for you. We'll be back with Jeffrey tomorrow. Look forward to seeing you then. And in the meantime, let's hope we can get this issue resolved. Thanks for listening today. Have a good evening, and we'll see you tomorrow.